welcome back to another episode of Just Say Something podcast. Be sure to like, share, and subscribe. And remember, you can always find us wherever you find your favorite podcast. So today we have a guest with us, and her name is Laura Allen Kerlin. And Laura Allen is with Communities in Schools. So thank you for being here.
Yeah, thank you so much for having me.
And so for our listeners out there, what's Communities in Schools?
Yeah, so Communities in Schools is a nonprofit, and our mission is to surround students with a community of support, empowering them to stay in school and achieve or succeed in life.
Okay. That's a mouthful.
Yeah, it is.
So, Communities in Schools is national, state, and local?
Correct. So we are a national organization that has local affiliates. And so I am part of Communities in Schools of South Carolina. And so we actually serve 47 Title I schools across 9 school districts in the state of South Carolina. And we are in 2 school districts in the upstate, in Greenville County and Pickens County.
Okay. How do you decide what counties or what schools you go to?
It's a factor of a lot of things. So in the case of Communities in Schools of South Carolina, we actually at one point in time were 3 separate entities. So we were CIS of the Lowcountry, CIS of the Midlands, and CIS of the Upstate. And we merged in 2021, which has enabled significant growth on our part because it helped us to consolidate resources, be more sustainable and efficient and things like that. So some of it was existing footprints already where we were, but us going into a school, there's a combination of factors. Some of that is about school district buy-in. I mean, because part of all of our programming happens on school property during the confines of the school day. So essentially we fund additional staff to work in the Title I schools that we serve. And so those staff have to have some kind of office or classroom space, and they provide all kinds of supports to students. And so if we're going to go into a school, we need the principal to be on board, we need the school district to be on board. So some of how that happens is based on the relationships we have with both school district superintendents and the school principals. And then, of course, funding is the other piece. And so as a general rule in our model, schools or school districts pay for 1/3 of our programming, and we fundraise the other 2/3.
Okay. So what are you in elementary, middle, and high school?
Yes. So we serve K through 12 students, and as much as possible, we like to try and follow feeder patterns so that we can journey with students, even though they might be working with different one of our staffs. So theoretically, a student could come onto our case management as a kindergarten student, and if they stay in our feeder pattern, could be in our programming all the way until they graduate from high school, if that's needed.
That's awesome. So Title I, those schools already need so much extra support.
Correct.
So what does it look like is there a typical day for Communities in Schools counselor, or what does that look like?
Yeah. So again, it can vary a little bit based on schools and the age, that we're in. But from a really broad standpoint, because we are part of a national program, we have, an evidence-based national model. And so every year at the start of the school year, our school-based staff that we call site coordinators sit down with the school principal, other admin, counselors, et cetera, and they do a needs assessment. And from that, they set goals from the year. And so every school has their own unique support plan, and common goals include attendance initiatives, parent engagement, college and career readiness. There often is a mental health component, which in elementary schools might look more like kindness initiatives and anti-bullying. In high schools, that includes a lot more mental health, suicide prevention, stuff like that. So those are some of the most common goals. Basic need supports is often something in that too. And so then our site coordinator makes a plan based on that needs assessment. And so they then provide kind of a couple different layers of support. They'll do school-wide initiatives that all the student population can benefit from. Our staff then leads small groups for students. That's a lot of resiliency training and confidence building and helping students build peer-to-peer relationships. And there's lots of different reasons you could end up in a group, but often students have something in common. Like maybe they all have a parent who's incarcerated, or often there is something unifying, but not
Right.
always.
Right.
And then our staff does one-on-one case management with students. And so generally our staff can case manage between 40 and 50 students, depending on school needs and stuff like that. And
Right.
those are students that they're consistently checking in with. There's parent guardian, permission in that. And so in the case of especially elementary school students, parents tend to be more involved. By high school, it's a lot more really working with students and helping them set goals, figure out what are the challenges and obstacles that they are facing, help provide them with resources and tools to address those things, and help them to really stay in school, and as we like to say, become the heroes of their own story.
Gotcha. So how many schools are you in Greenville County?
In Greenville County, we're in 7 this year.
So, and I know this doesn't have to be scientific, what's the biggest need of the kids that y'all see coming through your program?
That's a tough question. And I really do think it varies based on the region we're in and even, the moment in time.
Right.
I mean, obviously back in November when there were SNAP cuts, that became not just students we case manage, but in the schools we serve, that need for food went up exponentially as it did, we know, for lots of our nonprofit partners. But I think one of the things that is part of our goal is, the Communities in Schools founder of the national organization, Bill Milliken, talks about how programs don't change people, relationships change people, but programs are the avenue to relationships.
Right.
And such a big part of what we do is being another safe, trusted adult in the lives of our students. And it's not because they don't have parents, family members, other people who they have family who care about them deeply. But in a lot of cases, those parents are working multiple jobs to make sure their kids have a warm place to sleep at night, or just there's so many other demands. And so a big part of it is just having someone in the lives of our student that's a safe space for them, someone they can trust, that's an encourager, a problem solver, all of those things. And while each student has unique needs, I honestly think that kind of need for that relational component is maybe one of the greatest needs, and part of why our program has had so much success over so many years and across the country.
Okay. All right. And so as you mentioned success, are there a couple of success stories that you could share with our listeners?
Yeah. So in the most recent school year, we had a 97% graduation rate across the state.
Oh, wow.
So that's higher than the state average. And certainly Title I schools typically have lower graduation averages. So, that's a huge success in and of itself. Something that was really cool for us last year, too, is one of our graduating students from Carolina High School here in Greenville. She had been involved even in some leadership opportunities within Communities in Schools. And at one of our annual events, she helped MC that event and spoke.
Wow.
And we had community partners and donors who were at that event. And one of the people there was so impressed with her poise and presentation that they approached her after, and their company ended up hiring her that summer after she graduated high school.
That's awesome.
Which was very cool.
Yeah. That's great. That's, and I know leading a program, seeing those success stories, it can give you chills, but it's a good chill to see that child succeed.
Yeah.
So you talked earlier about different fundraising and things like that. Where do y'all have annual fundraisers that you hold?
So our annual fundraising event is called Illuminate, because we are illuminating the path for students' futures. And it's not your typical fundraising event. It happens in November every year. And because we serve all over the state, we host the event on the same night across the state. And so the past couple of years in Greenville, we've held it at Carolina High. And while it is a fundraising event, it's also an event that's really meant to center around our students and families. And so as we were planning a fundraiser, we wanted to do an event that our students and families felt comfortable and wanted to attend and was accessible to them.
Right.
And so we do it at our schools across the state. We have giant luminary displays. And so you can buy a luminary in honor of one of our students. And this year we actually invited our students to decorate luminary bags themselves with things that they wanted to illuminate about themselves. So there were lots of beautiful artists, people put quotes and other things that they wanted to highlight. And then at the event, there's kind of a brief program part, and we had students perform and speak. And we had cheerleaders and bands from the high schools we serve and stuff like that, and a photo booth, and it was really fun. And then we provide free meal to everybody who attends. And so for a lot of our students and families, it's a chance to sit down together, have a free catered meal.
Yep.
We gave away food and gas gift cards and stuff like that to our families, but it's also a chance to invite our partners and donors to get to know our families and the students we serve. It's a chance for students and families to connect with those people who are invested in the community and want to see their success too. So it's a really, really fun night. And it's very different. There's no black tie or anything like that. Well, not that that's bad. It's just, it's a very different kind of fundraising event.
Sure.
But it really is a lot of fun and a great way for our students to shine.
And I know we were there at this most recent one back in November, and that was my first time to be there. And so I really enjoyed it. And seeing those kids get up on stage and speak and make their presentations. But also then I realized, oh, that's Berea High School Band. Oh, my brother used to be in the Berea High School Band. So that brought back a lot of memories as well. So that was a great event. One thing I didn't know, though, that y'all sold those luminaries.
We do.
Need to remind me next time. I might buy a few.
Yeah.
Okay. So as you look at the future, what does the future look like for communities and schools in our community, not just in our community, but across the state?
Yeah, so in South Carolina, there is a little over 600 Title I schools across the state, and we're currently in 47. And it's kind of in our, strategic plan over the next set of years is to try to be in 10% of Title I schools across the state, which would, be in the 60-ish range. And so that's definitely a big part of what we're trying to do. And that expansion will probably happen across the state in different pockets. It is something for us that just, you can't have growth without sustainability. And so we're always trying to do both, and we don't want to expand too quickly. So we usually don't add more than 4 or 5 school sites across the state in any given year, because that's about what's sustainable for us. But as we think long term and ways we would like to grow, we actually are new to Pickens County this year. This is our first school year. So we're serving 3 schools in Pickens County. So we're really excited about that and hopeful that maybe over time our programming can grow there. And certainly, our senior leadership is in conversations with other school districts across the state about potential expansion into those districts and what that looks like. So, yeah.
Okay, great. So if someone wants to get in touch with you all, is there a local office, or how do they get in touch with communities and schools?
Yeah, so you can certainly go to our website, which is www.cisofsc.org. As a good starting point, or follow us on social media. We do have a Greenville office. It's over on Bramlett Road near the Legacy campuses. And we're not at Legacy, but we are at Alexander Elementary. So it's right over by Alexander, if you're familiar with that part of town. So we have an office there that you're always welcome to swing by, or you could certainly reach out. There's contact forms on the website. So as soon as you go to our website, there'll be a pop-up that's like, connect with us and things like that, where you could learn more.
Great. So what's one thing that maybe you hadn't had a chance to say that you would like for our listeners to know about communities and schools?
I think one of the reasons that I love working for this organization, I've been with CIS for like 15 months now, I think, and that, we serve a lot of students, but our numbers aren't as big as some other nonprofits or things like that. But we're really making long-term transformational kind of impact on the lives of these students. And, we serve students who have so much potential, and they're funny and smart, but they have obstacles and barriers that many other students in Greenville County don't have. And I think it's, we talk about in the American dream that everybody has equal opportunities, but when you meet with a lot of our students and see the obstacles that they have to overcome in a lot of cases are greater. And that doesn't mean that they can't overcome them. And we love to help them succeed in that, and then when they do succeed and we see that long-term impact, thinking about other success stories, our site coordinator at Grove Elementary has been there for 11 years at the same school. And she has a student who was in the Communities and Schools program at Grove Elementary, and during that time received all kinds of supports, including families that adopted her and her siblings at Christmas.
Mm-hmm.
And now that student is in high school, has a part-time job, and she adopts a Grove Elementary School student every year. Like, it makes me tear up just thinking about it. That like
awesome.
that's the and like the real ability and like in working with incredible students and families who and helping them to give them that maybe just little extra push or nudge that could enable them to succeed in incredible ways is just, it's really great to be a part of.
And people don't think about it. Kids can't do it alone.
Right. We adults can't do it alone. Are you kidding me?
Right. Yeah. Trust me, I know. But I think a lot of our community is, they equate the additional help with a certain population within our community. And that's not always the case. And so I know there's a lot of programs out there. Communities in Schools is one of, we've partnered for a long, long, long time, but just within the last couple of years, our partnership with Communities in Schools has really grown. And I look forward to us continue to do that. Y'all are providing great services for our families, for our students, and for our schools. So I want to thank you and your team for that.
Thank you so much. And we're really grateful for the work that you guys do. Y'all are great partners. And I think that's one of the things that I've really loved in this role and being in Greenville too, is the way that so many of the nonprofits who especially are in education spaces or really working with families, the opportunities we have to work together and how that collectively makes all of us stronger and better empowers our community is just really cool to be a part of.
That's great. And that's a great way to end.
Yeah.
I love that. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much.
So Laura Allen from Communities in Schools, again, I want to thank you for being here. And that'll do it for this episode of Just Say Something podcast. Remember to like, share, and subscribe, and we will see you next week. Thanks again.